there is some countries like Austria, Hungary, Czechia, and probably Germany at this stage, where Israel can ethnically cleanse a part of Gaza or the whole of Gaza. And even though the EU position is that, ethnic cleansing is wrong and we don't want Israel to occupy Gaza, if they do it, there will be no consequences.
What I found interesting, actually, looking at some of the European leaders arriving for that summit that you're covering today, Shona, is the different sort of tones of rhetoric that we had. Micheál Martin on one side, really unapologetic, saying that he just couldn't fathom why other countries were in denial about what Israel was doing in Gaza, particularly with the humanitarian cost that it's yielding. And yet there still seems to be this reluctance among at least 8 or 9 of the 27 member states to do anything about it. Like, they've asked the EU to review the position. The EU says Israel is not meeting its human rights requirements, but they're not proposing to do anything about it, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not just a breach of Article 2, because that is something almost, pro forma, that, there's a breach here and then we move back to a situation where it's status quo ante. You're talking about a country that is being investigated for genocide. You're talking about children and families being killed while they're starving and going to get basic flour or water. We're talking about hundreds of people just in the last few days who've been killed. Then you talk about the impact of that. You're talking about children who have no living members of their family, orphaned already. I mean, I could just sit here for the next hour and document the atrocities that are taking place in Gaza. And as one diplomat said to me, and I think this is 100% right, there are some countries for which there is no red lines for Israel. And this is 100% true. There is some countries like Austria, Hungary, Czechia, and probably Germany at this stage, where Israel can ethnically cleanse a part of Gaza or the whole of Gaza. And even though the EU position is that, ethnic cleansing is wrong and we don't want Israel to occupy Gaza, if they do it, there will be no consequences. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And we're not just seeing that against Israel. What happens there is you have a total and utter breakdown of international law and the EU being accused of double standards, because you can't therefore then be happy to see Putin in the International Criminal Court for doing similar to Ukraine, and Netanyahu not there and Israel not suffering consequences as well.